I just saw Gremlins for the first time ever. What can I say about a Christmas classic? It's a horror comedy that has been cherished for decades. This was courtesy of Alamo Drafthouse. It was an awesome Gremlins movie party. My buddy Daniel, for those of you who do not know who that is, he is my co-host and my best bud that we do a podcast together, The Fan's Guide to Animation. Some quick shameless plugs here. If you want to check us out and talking about all things animation, that will be on our website or on iTunes, however you prefer. Everything will be in the links in the description below. Basically, this was a nice Christmas present, if you will. Like, he said, I have to see this movie. It's one of his personal all-time favorite movies. And I was just like, I know it's a great movie. I'm sure it is. It's just one of those movies where I don't know. It's been around for decades, and I feel like I'm like, man, just the hype of it all, it's just such a classic film. I was terrified to not enjoy it, and I'm happy I experienced it for the very first time in a theater. That is hands down the best and arguably the only way to experience a movie, with the exception of stuff like on Netflix, I guess, or Hulu. But when it comes down to a Christmas classic such as Gremlins, it's such a lightning in a bottle situation where things shouldn't have worked. The fact is, there was such a mishmash of tones. The closest thing I can think about is like Ghostbusters. It's a movie that shouldn't have worked. It's just such an over-the-top premise that, with mishmashes of tones. It also has horror and comedy and some slapstick, but it works. And very much in that same vein, Gremlins, I can see why it's withstood the test of time. It is a classic for a reason. You have the iconic character of Gizmo, and right there alone, that little character is like the most adorable little creature you could ever see. Never feed them after midnight. Don't get them wet, and don't flash any bright lights at them. Bright lights will kill them. So that's the rules right there. If in case if you didn't know, like myself, I knew of them kind of, but again, it's one of those things in pop culture where I know of Gizmo and I've known of the movie, and I saw the sequel as a kid first. I never saw the original. I don't know how that happened. It just did. I know. I've been told many a times by my friends, like, how the fuck did that happen? It just did. I don't know. My family, I guess, didn't care for Gremlins. When it comes down to it, though, I think the original is definitely better by far, for one being a Christmas movie. It's something you can experience every year. The chemistry between the two main leads, from Billy, and I forgot to mention her, Phoebe Cates, who plays Kate, and their chemistry of just kind of, you feel that hint of romance, and that's another fun little aspect they threw in this movie. And you feel their chemistry of just trying to like understand each other, as well as just like trying to live through the night with these creatures multiplying and becoming more and more violent, killing off people in their neighborhood and their small town. And it is insane. I'm watching all this and I'm just like, wow. I think, and we're going to go into spoiler territory in case if you yourself have not seen it. One of the biggest ones that just made my jaw drop, like, it's just when the character Kate, she is explaining her story why she hates Christmas, because Billy's trying to tell her, hey, why don't you like Christmas? It's a great time of the year. Everybody's happy. And then she's just like, not everybody. Not me. I'm not happy. And then she explains to him that her father fell down the chimney trying to be Santa Claus, and his neck breaking, so therefore they didn't hear him scream or scurry or anything in the chimney. He was there for about 4 or 5 days. And it's terrifying because they figured out what happened to him. At first they thought he was just missing, but then they found that out, and her and her mother found that out, and that came out of nowhere. And that is such a very bleak situation. And then it dives right back into the creature stuff, and the Gremlins running amok. A mishmash of tones shouldn't work like that. But for whatever reason, Joe Dante's direction, as well as the writing by Chris Columbus, it somehow makes it segue better. Anyways, like it shouldn't work. But for a scene as dark as that, a very human, emotional scene, and then up against slapsticky little gremlin creatures, things like that don't happen very often, where they're done well to the point where you can just forgive some flaws like that. Some people, may not enjoy something, it may not enjoy shift in tones like that, but for a horror comedy that is expected and a Christmas movie trying to give you this heartwarming feel by the end, and it does all these things and more, and I couldn't be happier that I saw it. It's one of the best Christmas movies ever made for a reason. I can see why it's always in top 10 lists. I'm just happy I experienced it. There really isn't a whole lot of a review to this review, but if you've yet to see it like the way I took so long to see it, I just recommend, just in the words of Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Just see it. And Gremlins, Gizmo, the main villain Stripe in this particular movie, was also pretty memorable. And just all around the violence, the campiness, the dark humor, the slapstick, and the hint of romance, and all around the whole family-ness of Christmas seeps into this every single frame of this movie. I very much enjoyed it. I loved it. I think even the sequel is pretty decent. I actually just rewatched that too. That it's crazier and more over the top, like a cartoon, but I feel that that's its own thing. I think when it comes down to it, I definitely prefer the original Gremlins, but for more just general slapstick laughs, I think I would prefer the sequel. If you're a horror comedy fan, that it's golden. That is overall, that is my entire thoughts and reaction to this wonderful little movie film. I hope you all enjoyed this review. Don't forget to comment below. What are your thoughts on Gremlins? What is maybe even some of your favorite moments from the movie in general? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff in between. So until next time, I'm Anthony Flores with Worth a Watch. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and keep going to the movies.